DIY Tony L. This is my music room. Turntable, CD player, preamplifier. Octave audio tube amplifier, Bowers & Wilkins speakers, and some custom speakers I built. That's what I'm used to listening to. But when I go into the family room, my wife doesn't like big speakers. She calls me an audio snob. And this is all I've been listening to when I'm in the family room. She said if I can make some speakers that don't overtake the room and look good, I can leave them in the family room. So Bose cubes, you're out. And this is what I ended up with. These are my 36-inch towers. 2 4-inch woofers, 1 4-inch mid-range, and 1-inch tweeter, and a 2-inch port. Sound much better than the Bose cubes. The stain actually matches the furniture in my family room. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to build them. Before I start a project, I always try to at least sketch out what I'm going to do, get some basic measurements and sizes, so I'm not at total loss when I start running the table saw. So here's a basic little sketch of what the towers are going to look like. Approximately 5.5 inches wide and about 32 inches tall. So I'm gonna get started. Towers are going to be pretty much 32 inches high. So I'm going to make my sides top and bottom out of red oak, and the front and back panel will be made out of MDF. I'm going to 45 the corners. Pretty much try to do everything just glued, no screws or nails in the boxes. So start off and get my 4 sides cut at 32 inches. Alright, I got my 4 sides cut, so I need 4 top and bottoms. They're going to be 6 inches. So that's pretty much going to be the outside diameter of these towers. They're going to be 6 inches wide, 32 inches tall. And hopefully the wife is going to let me leave these in. I always like to double check to make sure my fence and the tape on my fence measures my tape measure. Alright, I'm getting my 4 sides, my top and bottoms cut. I have some leftovers that made the cut, so to speak. Got my top and bottoms cut. So now I'm going to 45 the corners. So I'm gonna get my saw set up for that. All right, got my saw set up to do my 45s. So I'm gonna get all the top and bottoms done first at 45. Not sure if you can see this with the bar on that side, but all right, that's all my top and bottoms. Now I gotta try to set up to do the longer pieces to get to 45s. I can't use my bar because it doesn't go out 32 inches. So I'm actually gonna have to try to do this free-handed, which might be a little tough. I've never done a 45 free-handed before. I'm gonna hold it up against my slide, and I don't know, I might even try to clamp it so it doesn't move. So I'm gonna get that set up next. All right, like I said, I've never done this before. I'm gonna try to cut this 45. I actually clamped it to my side, to the slide. I'm gonna hold it down, and hopefully this is gonna come out right. It actually works pretty good. So I'm going to finish the rest of them. I'm going to get a little bit larger clamp because that is right at the limit. And I'm going to finish these other 3 sides. Well, I got them all cut. There's my 4 sides and my 4 top and bottoms. Got them all 45'd. My last speaker build that I didn't film, I actually recessed back like a 1/2 inch all the way around so the front and back panels fit. I put it all together, glued and clamped it, and it did work out pretty good. I am using a smaller stock. This is only 1/2 inch. I used 3/4 on the last one. So I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna cut a notch 1/4 inch so my MDF will fit in that notch. Glue and clamp the whole thing together. And actually, I don't have my MDF right now, so I'm off to the hardware store to get my MDF. And I'm gonna keep going. Just to give you a better look of how I cut that 45 degree, you see there, this saw slides over to 45 degree, lock it in. Then you can see the blade locked in. And then you just slide your stock right across. And that gives you your 45. Now obviously this is not like a wood shop table saw. This is just a rigid, portable worksite construction saw. Okay, this is the very tedious part of this job. You can see that little notch I cut there, and then I'm gonna keep swiping across the saw until I get a 1/2 inch notch, and that's where my MDF will be recessed inside the panel. And I have to do all sides like that, front and back. They do make a special blade, which I don't have, that will cut a larger notch, or some type of router, which I don't have. So I'm just going to keep running it across the saw blade and sliding it over each time till I get 1/2 inch. And this is where you have to be very careful and make sure you get everything oriented and exactly the way it goes. If I cut it that way, it will be the wrong way. You have to cut it this way. And I've got to do every piece like that. Multiple cuts on all 4 sides for both speakers. So I'm gonna get started. Well, that's one pass done on all 8 sides. Now I'm gonna have to do this 4 or 5 more times each to get my 1/2 inch front and back. Well, I'm done with the notching. Got that little space cut out. Fits right in my 1/2 inch MDF. See if I can give you kind of a better visual. But the notch recesses fits right in there. MDF would be my front and back panel. Like I said, it's a little tedious. Maybe one of these days I'll buy the right blade or router bit. I could do this in one pass. I had to do 4 passes. And it's a lot of shavings, very dusty. And then you end up, sometimes if you don't set the saw right, little slivers. So you just have to go in there with your chisel, clean out them little slivers so you have a nice smooth edge. Not a big deal. So I'm gonna take care of that, and I'll kind of be ready to at least look at mocking up the total cabinet, get my front and back panels cut to the exact size that I need. So that's my next step. The width of my front and back panel is going to be 6 inches. So get ready to rip a couple pieces of my 1/2 inch MDF and get it 6 inches wide. And then I need to measure and get my height, because I'm going to have to take into account of the 1/4 inch gap. So it's going to be another 1/2 inch or so taller to fit inside of there nice and tight and flush. So I'm going to rip these 2 pieces 6 inches wide. Well, I got all my sides cut. I got my top and bottoms cut. And I've got my front and back panels cut. You see, I got my notches cleaned up and ready to go. But as you can see, it makes a ton of mess cutting out the width of the saw 4 or 5 times for all those boards. So now it's cleanup time. I'll do some more work on it tomorrow. Well, now that I got my front and back plates cut out, I dry mocked it all up to make sure everything fits and goes together well. So now I'm cutting out all the holes for my speakers, my ports, and my crossover. My crossover is actually mounted to the speaker connectors. So that's just going to be a rectangular hole cut where it drops in. Then all of there's my tweeter up top. The second one's the mid-range, and then two woofers. And down at the bottom is the port. I marked the center line and got the diameter of the speakers, drew circles, made sure everything was even in the way I liked it. Then I just got a protractor and drew the circles. Now I'm cutting them out with a jigsaw. You can also use the gasket. If your speaker comes with a little airtight gasket, you could place that on your board to make your circle cut. So that's pretty much it. I did do this just last night, sitting in the living room. You need to take your time, do a lot of measuring, make sure everything is even so that everything lines up perfectly. And then you just start drilling holes and cutting circles out. Okay, I've got all my parts ready to go. I've got my front panels, all my speaker holes cut out. I've got my back panels where the crossover speaker connection goes. Got my port sides, got the notches cut out. And I've got my 4 top and bottom plates with the notches cut out. I'm trying to give you another better look of how that's going to work. Trying to show you on the camera there. Just sits right in there. And you glue it. I've got some clamps that has 4 corners on it that and it tightens up like a truck strap. And I'll show you that in the video later when I start putting this together. It is a little complicated, especially by yourself. You've got 2 sides, top and bottom, front and back. You got to glue it all, put it all together, put the 4 clamps on it, and you ratchet it down just like a truck strap. And it worked great on the last pair of speakers. Just a little bit tough trying to hold it all and get it together. So that's going to be my next step. After that, I'm going to paint the front and back panel, stain the red oak, and it should be good to go. All right, tough part, trying to glue up all these sides. I've done some of it already. Got some glue in my channels. These clamps, 4 corners. Put one on each corner. And like I was telling you, it's really just like a truck strap. If you use those before. All right. As you can see, I got both of my 4-corner straps on. They're ratcheted down. So that actually put pressure top to bottom, but it didn't put much pressure going that way. So what I did was add 4 clamps as far as I could, pressing inward so that the glue in the channels going from top to bottom could be compressed. This all can dry. I did put just some scrap wood in between it to protect the red oak. I've got these all tightened down, and now I'm just kind of wiping everywhere there's glue. I have a damp rag. Also have a little plastic putty knife, because in the inner corners where the glue is squeezing out, just scraping that out. It's just going to save on prep work for paint and sand and stain. And that's one of the problems with doing this channel like this. You get a lot of glue that comes out after you clamp it. And you need to get as much of this off as possible just to save some headaches later. So every time I scrape, I'm getting glue. I don't know if I'm too far back for you to see that, but this is going to be my speaker tower. Tweeter, mid-range, woofer, woofer, port. There's glue dripping on the inside, but I really don't care about that at all. And I'm going to do what I can to cut some dampening material and put in there. I'm not really that concerned. I mean, they're just left and right, basically. Audio visual speakers, just to give me some sound when I'm watching movies. Maybe a little more sound than those Bose cubes when I'm listening to music. So I'm gonna let this sit and let it harden, and then I will do the other one. Well, I've had this sitting up for an hour and a half or so. The glue should be set up well enough where I can take the clamps off, and I can start working on the other one. Safety blocks out. Try not to injure myself. I had one little corner that was being a little stubborn, so I added one little clamp up there to try to take care of that situation. Clamps are a little sticky. of glue stuck, of course, around the edges where the clamps were. Glue squeezed out there, so that's some cleanup that will have to be done. Some of the glue there is still kind of damp. Try to get it cleaned up. But it's looking pretty good. Corners aren't too bad. And like I said, I think I said before, I just have a construction table saw. It's not a wood shop table saw, so my 45s aren't perfect. But it should make a nice little floor standing speaker for some light music and some movies. So I'm gonna glue the other one up just like this. I'm gonna paint the face and the inner sides, and then the front edge. Of course, the sides, top and bottom, I will sand, stain, and varnish. There's the back. One thing I am going to do, I've got some little magnets. They're about maybe 3/8 of an inch in diameter. I'm going to just drill a hole where they'll sit flush. Probably 3 on each side. So when I make my screen, I'll have the same magnets on the screen and it'll be able to sit in there and hold tight. So I'm going to get started on the second speaker. In conclusion, I'm pretty happy with the project, and my wife's happy with the project. She likes the stain, kind of blends in with her furniture, and it's a much better sound quality. So she doesn't mind the larger speakers in here. I'm running the Wemmy, whatever you want to call this thing, Ultra, and then 2,000 watt monoblocks that I also built myself. It's on my channel, so you can check that out also. Any questions? Put a comment in the text. I'll try to get back with you. Thanks for watching.